All right, we are back with another another of the 2020 Biz Kickstart events. And I'm joined with Christine, who's going to chat to us all about online courses and how to sell them, how to grow them, how to create them, all things online courses. So, Christine, say hey and share a bit about your background and how you got into online courses.
Yeah, so hi. Thank you so much for having me and for putting together this summit. Such a great way to kick off the new year and the new decade. So I'm Christine, and I'm a digital marketing strategist. My niche is helping entrepreneurs package up their expertise into an online course. Online courses allow you to scale your impact, to reach more people, and also to add an additional revenue stream to your business. So um, I have been working with online courses for the last several years, and really just I'm a lifelong learner myself. So I think I enjoy taking courses, and so it's something I'm passionate about. So it's great that I get to help others get their expertise out into the world.
Right, awesome. So is it something that people ever start out doing? I mean, I've spoke to a few in the past that are like, oh, I'm getting into the industry and I'm going to start an online course. And then there are people out there that start off maybe one-to-one or small group stuff, or maybe they do a couple of events and they think, right, I'm going to add an online course to what they already do. Does it really matter like the starting point of the person? Like, does it have to be, okay, you've got to be a coach, you've got to work one to one, you've got to build up some kind of, I guess, experience with your niche, if you will, before you start a course, or is it something you can start straight away?
Yeah, it's a good question. I've actually haven't ever really considered that, but the the majority of clients that I work with have already have a business. I tend
Right.
to work with a lot of therapists and health professionals that work with clients one-on-one. So they have, a physical location where clients are coming to see them, and this type of business is really perfect for an online course, because if you find yourself answering the same questions, several times throughout the day, you're kind of saying the same things to clients, or you see people that are suffering from, the same problems or having the same type of issues in, different phases of life, then it's probably a good place to start with an online course. But I don't see what would be, if you have an expertise in something and you wanted to begin your business with a course, you could certainly do it. It's just that the most of the people that I find are kind of at that point where they're maxed out with their current business, and they
Okay.
kind of need to like free up some of their time by helping people at more of a scale, because they've reached that plateau. Like there's only so many hours that you can see clients every day. So an online course just allows you to help more people, kind of expand your hours, so to speak, without actually working more.
Yeah, makes
Yeah.
it makes perfect sense actually, because if you think about like why would someone want to start a course straight away?
Mhm.
Feels a bit how can I put it? Feels a bit like they just don't want to work one to one, which is okay, I imagine. It's like I don't want to work one to one, but then it seems a bit weird to be at that point straight away.
Yeah, I think it's
If you start with
totally,
something
yeah.
and then I'm just going to do a course straight away seems a
Yeah.
bit odd, because what you mentioned there was if you ask the same questions all the time, if you do the same things over and over and over again, it gets a bit repetitive, and then having the course allows you to do it once and then you just keep selling the course, right? So there's an element
Exactly.
of like it takes out the repetitive thing. It seems a bit weird for someone to want to do that straight away. Bit of a weird scenario, isn't it?
Yeah, but it certainly is possible if you think about someone who is a very talented and successful painter, let's say,
Mm.
who I have a client who launched, I helped her launch her course, teaching painting skills. And so she's done workshops before um, in her hometown, like hands-on workshops. So she had some experience teaching, but her business was in selling her own paintings, not in teaching. So I think it can be done. But like I said, the majority of people I see already have some kind of face-to-face or some kind of one-to-one business that they've just like maxed out their time.
Yeah.
The other way that it can be really good, especially with the therapists or coaches, if your audience, like for you to work with someone one-on-one, requires a certain amount of pre-training, almost like getting people on to a certain basic level.
Got you.
Like if you're a therapist and you part of your practice is uh, having people develop a meditation practice, like a daily meditation practice, or certain health levels or things that an online course can kind of teach the very basics and give
Right.
people a starter point. And then it makes more sense for them to pay to work with you one-on-one because they're at a more advanced level. So that's a good way also to kind of use an online course to prepare people for your higher end services because they've like done what they can do on their own, through your teaching,
Yeah.
but it's not as individualized.
That I quite like that. So you sort of create the courses to prepare people for. Obviously, I imagine like some people would do the course and then that's enough for them, right? It's kind of
Could
like
be.
right. It's almost like a book almost, where like some people, a book can change your life, but maybe you need a course afterwards. Maybe
Yeah.
you need extra guidance afterwards, and I think it gives people that sense of. It gives people a sense of, well, if I do the course and that's it, then the course has done its job, hasn't it? The course has helped that
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
Um,
It's delivered the transformation. It was certainly a success. And then people can choose to ascend. And that's like when I work with clients, we first look at their value ladder. So, having a front end offer that, excites people, and then having a core offer, which could be an online course, something that doesn't involve a lot of your hands-on, or it could even be like a group program or something like that. And then on the highest end is your highest touch service. So that could be your one-to-one. But each step, kind of ascends people up the ladder. And so uh, it's kind of that type of structure.
One of the things that we did briefly skim over was like it takes out the repetitiveness of things. Is
Yeah.
that where you suggest people start as well? Like if you're asked the same questions over and over again, if your clients come to you with like the same problems that you have to solve over and over again, is that like a good starting point for like what you create your course on?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, it's I in my business, I started realizing that people were constantly coming to me saying they want to create online courses, but they didn't have any type of list, like any type of audience. So I created a course email list on autopilot that just walked them through how to set up a simple lead generation funnel, because that was kind of the basic thing that you need in order to sell your course. So um, definitely knowing, working with your potential clients, your audience, you'll start to know, okay, what do they need? What makes sense? Like, what
Yeah,
are those repetitive questions that I'm getting?
yeah.
And it makes for a really great place to start with an online course because you know that there's some kind of demand for it. Um, and it's something that they need before they can start working with you one-on-one.
Is that what you is that what you tend to advise people do? Like you sort of prepare people and you create the smaller courses to in different areas, right? Like you've got like you wanted to create your email list course because that was about helping people that struggled with generating an audience for their own courses and their own offerings and things. And is that something that you would advise people do, or is it possible to create? Because you mentioned the high touch courses as well, the courses that were sort of higher price points, but they were bigger, better, solve bigger problems, all those things. Can you do both? Or if you're starting out, would you suggest the smaller courses first?
I think if you're just starting out, it really depends on each situation and kind of what your objectives are. I have a 90-day program where I take people from the very start with, creating an irresistible course offering all the way to creating the content and launching the course. So with that, it makes sense to create more of a signature course that delivers a substantial transformation. And usually within that process, I would recommend a beta launch strategy, which is where you actually, you create your outline and you create the offer, but you don't actually create any of the content. First, you basically sell the outline of the course. And, with complete transparency that, you'll be creating the course content, dropping the course content as the weeks go along. And this is a really great way for people to get a group of beta tester students, whether it's 5 students to, even 20 or 30 students that are your beta testers. And they, for that, they get an extra level of one-to-one support with you during the initial beta launch. Because kind of the deal with that is they're your testers. So they give you feedback, they ask you questions, anything that's not clear, or you have weekly calls with them, so they give you feedback. And you create the course content with that group as you go. And then by the time the content is finished, you have a fully realized course that has all the, the holes filled, all the questions answered, that then you're able to sell, without your high touch involvement in it. So that's usually what I recommend for people who don't have a list or don't have a big audience, because that way you're not going into the closet and creating a course and then, putting it out into the world and hoping that it sells. Because if a beta launch, if you don't sell, let's say you make your sales page and you put it out there and no one buys into the beta offer, then you can go back and change your messaging, change something about it, and go back out and try to sell it again. So that way you really are sure that you're creating something that people want.
It makes perfect sense then, because you can take them through it live, can't you, as well? And you can add sort of, like, I know I get this, I don't know if you ever get this, but I don't like it when people sell something that's recorded as live. But it's 2019 and I still see it with webinars. It really gets on my nerves. It's a live webinar, but it's not, it's recorded, and you can tell it's recorded. It kind of grinds my gears a little bit.
I think people have to be transparent.
With courses, it's kind of, if you're taking them through it, one of the benefits of it is live. And I like the way that you said that you can fill out some of the gaps and you can understand what's going on for them as they're going through it, and then you can simply add that into the course as it goes on. And it's almost like you're solving the problems as you go, versus, as you said, locking yourself in a dark room. That's okay. Rather than locking yourself in a dark room, putting all the course together, and then realizing that, no one actually wants this thing, and then you end up sort of sat there going, well, that was a waste of time. Is there something that you can suggest to? So you mentioned questions that you get repeatedly asked, right? Questions that you get asked all the time. You mentioned taking people through it sort of live and answering their questions and getting a feel for what people want and all those things. What if you're struggling to, so if you're someone like a therapist or a coach, or you mentioned a lot of like health related stuff, a lot of that is personal. A lot of it's like different from person to person. So how would that person go, well, it is personal. It is like hard to put together a course for, say, the same person over and over again if it is so personal. Because when people think of courses, it's like create it, put it out there, and then the cliche, sit on a beach and hope for the money to come in, you know. But something like that comes across as, well, you might still need to have your own interaction with the course to have that personal element, because that's what people need. That's what people need. Sometimes they need that little tweak, don't they? So is it about the format of the course? From what I just said there, I'm kind of answering my own question now, but it's almost like it depends on what the result of the course is. Depends on what you're actually getting people to achieve, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think, you know, on some level, it sorry, my dog is
It's all right.
saying hello. On some level, it you know, if the course requires you know, that high level of high touch from you, it's probably a better you know, maybe as a group program or as a one-to-one. So I think courses are really great in solving those issues that can be self-solved or self-taught. I have a client, and she is a very well-known massage therapist. She has her own method of helping people, you know, target their nerve and different a special technique, and she's able to teach that. You know, even though she works with clients one-to-one in her office, she's able to teach, you know, using a model and video, self-massage. So, you know, if you're suffering from tech neck, which most of us do, she actually has developed self-massage techniques that you can do, and she's able to teach that in a course. So I think it's also about being creative of how you can share the expertise, but also knowing, you know, when does it take one-on-one time and when does it not? And maybe it doesn't make sense to have a course on that topic if it requires a lot of, you know, one-to-one interaction or true, you know, like, true one-to-one work. So I think that's one thing I help people do is, you know, create that offer, create an irresistible offer, and building something out that truly serves the client and gives them the resources they need. You know, isn't just like videos and a transcript, but something more, you know. So
yeah, it seems the reason why I bring it up is a few people that will be watching or listening might be like, right, if I put this course together, then I don't need to work one-to-one. Then I can just be completely hands-off, have a couple of online courses, and then that's it, I'm done. But the problem with that is it depends if it is personal, if it does take one-to-one time, because one of the reasons, for instance, that I've always struggled with online courses is it is personal. And there's a part of me that's like, well, the only way I can guarantee results is by being there with the person doing it.
yeah.
I've got this sort of ethical, moral dilemma of, what if the course doesn't actually help them? I want to help them properly. And then my head goes, we'll just do something instead then. The dog needs to jump then.
Yeah, it's fireworks because of the holiday, and so the fireworks scared me and him.
I think that there's a real sense of not everything can be a course. Not everything can be an online course and then that's it. it's very, because there are some things that you can't just give. You know, you can't just do it once and then forget it. There are some things that you have to interact and you have to understand the person before you can do that sort of thing. With that in mind, are there any elements that you think, okay, these are easier to put into courses? And is there anything that you think is probably difficult to put into an online course?
I mean, I think it's all about just looking individually at each offer. I've helped people take an online workshop or a workshop that they give in person. You know, in different you know, speakers who are kind of known for this topic, taking that signature talk and turn that into an online course.
Right.
I think it really just depends, and there's different ways to package it up. But there's no one size fits all, no cookie cutter approach with it. I think that you know, you have to know your audience, and also, you know, beta test it. And that's one way, you know, to really understand, you know, what it takes for people to get the transformation, and to ensure that people do get a transformation and that they, you know, they stick with it through the time. And there's also, you know, interesting gamification elements you can add. You know, if you're doing a course that's teaching people how to, a new skill, let's say, you know, how to become a VA or something like that, and you're teaching some basic tech skills, you know, you can do something like when they land their first client, you know, they send you, you know, your admin team a screenshot of their first, you know, PayPal invoice or Stripe invoice or whatever, and you send them, you know, a t-shirt or, you know, some other kind of branded or something, you know, that kind of makes it a reward for them to get the result. There's all kinds of things you can do to kind of help incentivize them to finish and to get the result. It's really just about being curious and being clever and creative, and that's what I help people do. You know, if they have any, they, you know, a lot of people are like, have an idea swimming around in their head for a long time before they come, you know, to me. So people generally have an idea in mind, but they don't know how to do it. And that's really what I do in my program, is help, you know, from the very start, help dial in that offer and dial in what it's going to be, and then take them through the process of actually creating it and selling it.
Yeah, it feels very, how can I put it? It feels very flowing as well. It's sometimes people can pressure themselves into making the course look a certain way, to be a certain way. But then, you know, there's a lot of research out there now that suggests that there are so few people that actually finish online courses, that actually get to the end, which that from someone that, you know, has this voice inside their head that goes, the course has to help people, the course has to actually do the job. And when you hear statistics like that, you know, like 85-90% of people don't finish online courses, there's a voice of some people that be like, well, why create it in the first place? You know, it isn't going to get the result if no one finishes the course, right? It's not
It's really funny,
not going to really
though.
do the job.
Yeah. Have you ever, like, I've had the experience where just the act of joining a program or buying a product gives you some kind of result. Like, so there is, people buy courses for many different reasons. You know, sometimes it's just for one element of your offer that people want. You know, they want this, you know, black book that you're offering as a bonus, and they buy the product for just that one piece of information. You know, or they just buy it, and they, you know, just the act of buying a money mindset course, you know, gives them some kind of shift. And they, you know, so a lot of people don't finish courses, but they also it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not getting some value from it.
And it's an interesting point.
Yeah, and also offering, you know, a guarantee of some sort, whether it's 7 days or 30 days, where if people aren't satisfied with the content, you know, I'm very much of that mindset that, you know, if it doesn't serve you, if this isn't what you thought it is, you know, I stand behind my products and my services, so I'll, you know, just contact me and I'll give you your money back. So almost all of my clients offer some kind of money back guarantee. I really stand behind creating a quality product, that if someone buys it and it's not what they thought it was, or it's not, it's just not what they thought, then don't, you know, I'll give you your money back, you know?
Yeah. If it's not for them.
Yeah, for sure.
Are there any other ways that you can maybe encourage people to finish the courses? Because, I mean, I get the whole sort of the beta test element, because the course will last as long as it will last. And if you take people through it live, sort of, then you can gauge how long it should be as well. That's the first thing that sort of sprung to my head was, okay, well, with the beta test, you're taking people through it. You can answer questions. You can make sure that it's not too long, because some courses are too long. They're also drawn out, aren't they? And
yeah, that actually happens before.
That can happen, can't it?
Yeah, that's all done in the initial phase before you even go with the beta test. Like, I help my clients do really solid outlines with no fluff, and only the exact information that's needed in order to get the transformation. And then when you sell the beta test, you sell with a very solid drop schedule. So you know exactly this is a 6-week or this is a 4-week beta test. Module 2 is dropping next week, module 3 the week after, module 4 week after that, with Q&As every week. On, you know, Thursday at 5 there's Q&As, and you can post any questions in the group, you know, that sort of structure. So it's super structured, so people know what to expect and how to show up. So that's really important with the beta test, is, you know, kind of the prep.
Right. Cool. Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
But there's a platform, MemberVault, is a platform that I actually like, and you can track the process of your students on a super micro level, like when they opened the course last, you know, their progress, and then you can send them different emails, different encouragements. You know, like if someone, you can set a rule, like if they don't open the course, you know, after 7 days, send them an encouragement email. So MemberVault is a really clever platform for kind of those gamification elements.
Yeah. Cool.
That I think are really clever.
Yeah, it's interesting that you share that as well, because most of the time people can buy a course and feel like they're kind of left to it, aren't they? But at least with that, you can sort of add the higher touch elements in, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Do you have any other final thoughts for us? Because I'm aware that, you know, online courses are online courses. There's only so much that we can cover where it's just about, you just got to do it. You just got to put the course together. Yeah. So what other things do you think that are important to share? Anything that you think, you know, you wish that we had the chance to discuss? Anything that you wish that we had the chance to talk about? Because, you know, from the outside looking in, once you've got the repetitive questions out the way, once you found something that people could do sort of on their own, but maybe need your guidance for little things and all that kind of stuff. Once you've done that, that's pretty much the online course put together, as long as it solves the problem, right? So is there anything that you think that, I really wish we had the chance to talk about that?
Yeah, you know, one thing that I do see pretty often, and it's not the most wow thing, but there is kind of the sentiment of, I'll just launch an online course and it's passive income. I won't have to do anything, you know, aside from obviously the selling or running ads or whatever your sales process is like. That continues, you know, as you just continue to sell it on Evergreen. But the one thing that I help my clients through my 90-day program set up is a structure for the fulfillment and the client end. That's one thing most people forget. And so it's really important to make sure that you have your fulfillment streamlined and really elegant, so that people, when they join your world through an online course, they're given an experience, and not left to feel like they're on their own, or, you know, an email doesn't get answered or things like that. So, you know, it's really simple to bring in an admin person or set time aside yourself to really focus on the customer service part of courses. Because if you have a couple of courses, you're going to have questions that come up. You know, someone loses their platform, or their password, or they can't get into the platform, or, you know, these various questions that make a difference in how people perceive you as a business. So, and it's the one thing that just with courses people forget, because there is sort of this I'll be on the beach sipping margaritas dream. That's just really not the reality. So it is really important to consider the long-term demands of having a digital product out in the world. It does take, you know, definitely sales effort on the front end, and then on the back end, customer service, you know, nurturing.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. But I imagine a few people will fall into that trap of, oh, I've got customer service to do. And so sometimes that can be a full-time job in itself, can't it? You know, if you've got like a couple of hundred people in there, that might not be too bad. But then when you start hitting the thousands to 10,000s, it can get pretty overwhelming for some people.
Yeah, you definitely, I think if you're over 1,000 students, you definitely need a full-time customer service person at that point.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you don't want the course to be the bane of your life because you spend all your time answering messages and emails, really, do you?
No.
All right. So where can people learn more about you, Christine? How can people find out more and get involved with whatever you're up to?
Yeah, so my website is the best place. It's christinelindebak.com. And on my services page, I have info about my 90-day package, which is the #1 way I work with people. And yeah, that's all on my website.
All right, awesome. Well, thanks for coming on, Christine. I appreciate you taking the time. And yeah, I'll let you get back to, it's Three Kings over there, isn't it?
Three Kings,
yeah. I'll let you get back to the celebrations.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mike.
No problem.
Okay. Bye. Bye.